Good day, everybody, and welcome to our podcast today here at Cape Conscious Media Studios. Ladies and gents, you're in for a treat today, and that's me here, Websta, and our producer, Mr. Nantal Hopley, on the other side. We've got a very special guest, and I know it's going to sound like a speech right now, but just to give you a little bit of info about this man, he is an actor, director, playwright, producer, screenwriter, songwriter, theatre director. I don't know. If I should go on, this man is not going to have anything more to say. So, ladies and gents, here we go. Mr. Kurt Egelhof.
Thank you, my brother. Good day, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to our conversation. Hope you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, we definitely are. And Kurt, we'd like to say thank you for coming in today. I mean, I don't know who doesn't know you, because this, to me, like I mentioned to you earlier, is actually... I think it's my little man crush, because being in the industry, you've always been there. You've always been on the screens, always been somewhere in theatre. And right now you've got a new venture going. But
Correct.
Let us in on a little bit of the Kurt Egelhof that nobody knows about and where he comes from, where he hails from.
That's a lovely start. So just to put the record straight, not everybody knows me, right? I haven't been working that hard, but I have been working that long.
Yeah.
So I got a career of about 45 years in performing arts, which moved on to digital arts, i.e. television, movies, etc. But, where's the start? Well, the start is very early in my life. My father died when I was 1 year and 1 month old. And for all of my childhood, I walked in the shadow of that memory. So everything was a fight.
Okay.
And without knowing the traumas that would bring me in later life, I just dived into everything as if it was me fighting for survival, because there was no dad to go home to and say, go there and sort those people out for me. I had to do it, whatever the situation. So I learned a coping mechanism early in life.
Okay.
And then when they offered me options like, at the nursery school, 5 years old, you want to be in the concert? Hey, yes, indeed. I want to be in the concert. I got the photographs as well of a 5-year-old, 6-year-old me playing with my brasa there, playing drums on the stage for the school concert, and it was lekker. So when I got to primary school, my mother was teaching at the school, so I had to mind my P's and Q's.
Yes, of course.
And in order to survive, I had to, whoever she was having fights with, I didn't want those dudes come and beat me up in the playground.
Oh, yeah.
I had to seduce them to my side, never mind what they were experiencing from but fact, everybody my mother taught still tells me today what an amazing woman she was, what an amazing teacher she was, right? So at that primary school, I put my hand up for the concerts, for the singing. And I think I was 12 years old when I stood in front and sang a solo. My friend, who's a doctor now, played the piano. And the song was called To Wonder Is My Greatest Joy.
Okay.
And I didn't figure it out that time, but it became my life story. To wonder is my greatest joy.
Okay.
Yeah. A lazy miller he must be if he does not wish that he were free to wonder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man, I was 6 years old.
At such a young age?
Yeah, and it sat there. So I reckon that's me. I'm a wanderer and a singer. And so as my life unfolded in the teenage years, I got into the choir at church and so forth. And then at 15 years old, we did a amateur production of Jesus Christ Superstar.
Okay.
Yeah, and we called it Christ 74 because we weren't sure what the laws were.
Okay.
But it was full-on amateur, and we performed it inside the church.
It's a big... At what age? 15?
15. I sang one of those parts there, brother. I think I was the youngest on that stage. And I've always hung out with older people, by the way.
Yeah.
All my friends have always been older people. And it's always been like that. So once I sang that superstar role, I knew the world is my oyster now. It's all my stage. And went to university after high school. Well, in high school, with all the puberty coming, check out the girls, So you want to try and be like, hey, I can sing falsetto. So while all the brasa are doing their homework in the music class, because nobody wanted to get involved in music, me and the other olds who were musically inclined, we went there and we sang Earth, Wind and Fire and Marvin Gaye. Even the music teachers, my bro, she's sitting there marking other subjects in the music class. So when I went to university, so here's the thing now. big crossroads. When I was young, oh, my child, you speak so well. Why don't, and this accent I'm giving you is like from my Zulu granny sides.
Okay.
You speak so nicely, my child. Why don't you just become a lawyer? So I went to university to become a lawyer.
Yeah.
And while I was there, I reckon, but law was boring. I had all the law subjects going. But in order to get around apartheid, because this is now 1978, first year, as bushy mense, we had to get a permission to go to the university round the corner from where we lived in Durban. Otherwise, we must come to the Western Cape and go to Bush because it's most for brainhouse. And they're going to give all the instruction in Afrikaans. How am I going to get...
University of Natal?
Yeah, I went to University of Natal. Yeah.
Okay.
So the apartheid government said, must come here. How am I going to learn law in Afrikaans, my bro? I don't even speak it. I was the best kid in Afrikaans at my high schoal. That's because no one else
spoke it.
Yeah, I at least made an effort, I liked the Afrikaans teacher, so I made an effort. So I got to university and I applied for a permit to go there in University of Natal. And I got the permit on the grounds of speech and drama, which wasn't offered at the Bush College at the time.
Okay.
So I stick 8 and I joined the drama department and I'm involved with the law. And like 2 weeks before exams at the end of the year, I told my family at the dinner table, I'm going to write all the exams. I don't care if I pass or fail law, I'm not carrying on with it.
Yeah.
I'm carrying on with drama. That's going to be my major for next year. It's a 3-year major. And they were like, okay. And they just carried on again. These men don't care, my bro. They just want me to get on with my life so I can be away from whatever struggles they got going on. So I took the drama degree and graduated. And this was the beginning of my so-called professional acting career.
Okay.
Let me just make a quick brag here before we change the subject, because this is the roots. Yeah?
Yes.
I would like somebody to come forward and say, I graduated before you and I've been in the industry longer than you. A person with a dark skin.
Yeah.
A person with a skin who's not white. I know it sometimes gives me goosebumps to think about it. But there were people who graduated before me. And after 1 year of trying to be an actor, they went back to university, studied psychology and became whatever psychology drama.
I was going to ask you, Kurt, it must be such a struggle. I mean, at that time, especially not having those opportunities. People don't want to mention this anymore, eh? But you had to struggle, I know. So tell us a bit about that as well.
They take it for granted like it was always lekker because, I don't want to brag again, but because I've made a success of my career, then they say, oh, it must have been easy. It was frick difficult, my bro. First of all, the psychology of moving into a university community where you're in a minority. And there's degrees of blackness inside the university community. So the black African Zulu brasa, who most of them were doing medicine down there, but the ones who came to do psychology and economic history and sociology, they were like, brah, no, we don't speak your English accent. I said, I'm fine with that. I know who I am and I know what I want. But let's go to the normal global thing of the racism at the university. Rhodesia had just fallen.
Okay.
And those Rhodesian students came to our campus and they were carrying nopkiris for us, my bro.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, white boys who ran away from the Rhodesian War to study by us. They
now
were
Zimbabweans.
They were never Zimbabweans, those brothers. They were never Zimbabweans. Once they ran away as Rhodesians, they stayed as Rhodesians all their lives. But they wanted to donor us with knopkiris. Our turf, our cultural weapons, they want to donor us with. So that was difficult. And then when the police would raid like a party, and then we'd all go into the police station, next. And then the bride looked at me, the little sparrow policeman looked at me like, and you? What are you? I said, I'm a South African. He reckon, It's interesting who people think they are these days, huh?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like he was saying he's a South African.
And so you cannot be.
I can't be a South African. So that was like varsity days. Once I got out, you're 100% correct, the opportunities were zero. People said, oh, we need, like it is still today, and it still kind of gets under my skin. We're looking for a colored character.
Yeah,
So hold on a minute. First, you got to look for a character that fits the plot, fits the play, and we don't care what race they are.
Yeah.
Because if you just want to write about race, then you're writing about shallow issues.
Yeah.
And we can all speak about race, regardless of what race we are.
Yeah.
So I stepped into this industry carrying this badge of a brown skin with an English accent and a harde gat opinion because I got a degree.
Okay.
But it's subjective, my bro.
Yeah.
For me, I wasn't harde gat, I was just being me.
Being yourself.
The people who were skopping teen wil, they were describing this attitude of mine as harde gat. Just because I said, no, not with me. You're not getting away with that shit with me.
Okay.
So
obviously you lost a lot of work also having this attitude. And not just the attitude, but I mean, being you, people don't like that.
100% correct.
Right?
I lost a lot of work opportunities and they only pressed my button when they wanted a clearling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this took a while to come to terms with. I thought, I've got to work within the system, but I still got to keep my voice.
Yeah.
And when I describe myself now, I say like, I'm an angry 17-year-old senior delinquent. You know? And I had to stand my ground for my persona.
Yeah.
But still not compromise the employment opportunities. So eventually I got a break. When I was in Durban, straight after graduating, I did a play called Man Friday, but it was a two-hander, not the Robinson Crusoe pantomime musical.
Okay.
Two-hander, two characters, Crusoe and Friday, written by a British socialist writer. And he wrote it like these two men were trying to come to terms with each other.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of innuendo, race innuendo, sexual innuendo, class innuendo, language innuendo. It was a fantastic piece of work. And I got cast because this Man Friday, it was called Man Friday, was a dark-skinned man from an island somewhere in the third world.
Okay.
And I learned to play drums for this play because we wrote songs for the musical.
You had to get into your little bit of Caribbean vibe.
Hey, bro. And we wrote reggae stuff. I was living in a commune with Steve Dyer, a jazz musician now, very popular jazz musician now, but we were students together at the time. And so we composed the music together. I played drums, he played sax and guitar, one, two other bras on bass and what. And it was a really wonderful piece. I'd go from the drums with that spotlight vibe onto the stage and act with this guy who was waiting there. When I came out, I reckon the world is definitely my oyster. Yeah. Man Friday was a good thing for me to do.
Okay.
Moved to Joburg and faced all these opportunity problems we spoke about a minute ago. Okay. My big break came in Joburg when the Market Theatre had seen one or two of my other things. I'll tell you quickly. Who doesn't know Solly Philander? There's a name that we can say everybody knows.
In Cape Town, and especially the coloured community.
Everybody knows Solly.
Solly Philander, yes, everybody.
So
very proud of Solly Philander, Leslie Klein-Smith, you know.
Yeah, so I met Solly early in my career, like 1 year after graduating, and we became brass at that time. And we worked on the Cape Flats, out of the Space Theatre, with a thing called the Roadshow Project. We went to schools, interviewed the lighties. What would you like to see on stage?
Yeah.
They give us. We'd go back to the space, we'd process, and we'd go back to the school with the play. And I became Dick Brasa with Solly like this. And we still Brasa all through this. And I'm talking about, this is like, I don't know, 45 years ago, right? So when I came to Josie, people had heard about me working at the Space Theatre. And somebody phoned me and said, there's this director who's been looking for you. His name is Davi Malan.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody remembers a
genius
of a man.
Yeah.
With a bochel rug. And he told me what that did for him. The kids wouldn't play with him because, you know, so he sat there and watched the games as a kid. And he learned how to read people. So when it came to reading scripts or becoming an artist, he already had all that. And he heard of me. He said, "Stuur daar man." I did an audition, got the part. It was a prison play called Fortune and Men's Eyes about juvenile delinquents locked up. Also strong dynamics. And for the first time, there was only one white dude in the play. The rest of us were all dark-skinned.
Oh, okay. Yes, it's changed.
And Davi was smart like that, man. He knew how to construct the dynamics. I'll never forget, he said to me, "Bra, you're allowed to laugh at this. Scatter ball. you can go and sign the contract. This is in the audition. You can go and sign the contract. But just listen, next time you do an audition, leave your doves at home. I said, what doves? He said, those things flying around your face. Because I was like,
okay, yes.
Yeah, he said,
we'll get told about our hands at some point, yeah.
Leave your brown doves at home. And if you don't, just put them in your pocket, okay? But so he cast me in this Fortunate Men's Eyes, and then he phoned me for the second thing of The Island. John Carney, Winston Shona, Ethel Fugard play.
Sure.
The Island. I did it with Slew. Who doesn't know Slew?
Okay, Slew from
Leslie Fong. Leslie Fong.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you about Isidingo and how I created it from a blank page with other people. But anyway, so
I was going to go there. I would love to know all this.
Yeah. So me and Slew, me and Leslie, we met in Josie. And man, I just come from being interrogated by the police at Sior Swart Square. So I was like this. Me and Solly lying on having a Christmas bed there on my sister's house in Durban. We've both been interrogated in this thing. Wat maak julle mense hier met die ding? The ding that the policeman referred to was a letterhead from the Space Theatre. In Afrikaans it said, die Volksruimte. And in Xhosa it said, Ndawo yesizwe.
Okay.
This Afrikaans policeman all checked Nkonto wesizwe.
Oh, wow. Brilliant.
Hauled us to the police station and interrogated us till about 9 o'clock at night. We got hauled at lunchtime. We found out these are just a bunch of moffies. These are just the useless actors who don't know where they're going. Scope them out. But it was traumatic for us.
Yeah,
traumatic. So 11 o'clock at night, my sister's phone rings. I'm sleeping in the lounge. Hello, can I help you? I'm thinking it's like her brasa. Hello, I'd like to speak to Kurt Egelhof, please. Oh. Yes. I thought the Pura had followed me home.
Okay.
I thought the police had followed me to this house I was born in. But dude explained his mission. He said, Davi Malan wants you. So I went to Joburg, met Slew, and did this play.
Okay.
We did it for almost a year. We traveled all around the country. Just with what the Afrikaans, the SADF used to call a balsak. You know what a balsak is?
Balsak, no.
The oaks coming home or going to the army. The Rayveilig Owens. They put all their stuff in this brown bag.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yes.
And stood next to the road with it.
Yeah.
With the Rayveilig campaigns. That was called a balsak. And we had one of those. And we went around the country. We slept in trains, slept in stations, like Kimberley Station when the train was only leaving in 4 hours. We slept on the benches. It was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, I was going to say, but obviously you cannot do that now. But yeah.
No, it's a bit dangerous. And one of the big moments for me was I got to perform John Carney's play for his daughter, Nomonde, who'd never seen it. And she was 13 years old.
Oh, wow.
Because I was touring. We went to her school in Inanda, there in KZN. And the principal said, that play you're going to do, that's the daughter, introduced me. And so she hadn't even seen the play. She just knew that her father, John Carney, was this actor.
Yeah.
So that was a big moment for me in that period. You must jump in any time you like.
No, you go ahead. Because I'm intrigued.
I can drill a little bit too deep in stuff.
You go.
So the island was a wonderful experience for me.
Yeah.
And the best part, I came back to the Space Theatre. It was already officially closed. But they decided to give it one more shot. Myself and Les Fong did the last play at the Baxter Theatre called The Island, where it was born in Cape Town. Winston Chona told me the story of how the island was born. They were trying to do Antigone, a classic Greek play. And I don't know, I guess they were being a little bit sort of bourgeois in the way that we'll take African values and shove it into this Greek play and show the world we know Greek plays and we know African. And it wasn't working.
Yeah, because it's not authentic.
No, it wasn't working. Plus, at that time, South Africa was difficult, and they're rehearsing in Ethel Fugard's flat in Sea Point. Winston told me the story one day on a film set in the Comores. Another discussion. So they're having an argument, Winston and John, because trying to get their heads around this classic Greek Antigone thing, dissecting it and trying to integrate it with workshop. And they had a big fight and went out onto the balcony and just stood there. And Ethel joined them and he said, check there, look there. You see that piece of land there? Robben Island, the island. That's why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that inspired them. And that's how the island was born.
Okay, wow.
And
wow.
Yes. And was born out of this quest for Antigone. But as a nod to the classic European culture, they put a piece of Antigone in the back end of the play. So the two prisoners, one's being released, one is staying, put on a concert for the rest of the prison. And the dynamic of you are abandoning me here plays into the play. So Creon and Antigone are having a conflict argument at the end of Antigone. So John, who played by John Carney, and Winston, who played by Winston Chona, are having this argument before they go on in front of their prisoner friends, colleagues. And it was a powerful realization for me and Les Fong, because I got the degree. I was the John literally, and he was the Winston literally. And we latched onto that dynamic, and it held us together for all that 9 months of touring. It was a wonderful experience.
I know also traveling and being with shows, it's quite difficult to keep that dynamic, and you always have these little arguments, little things creep up during the time. And obviously there must have been those difficult times, but how do you handle doing that? I mean, like, it's a two-hander, you say. And so do you basically just say, okay, if I don't do my job and you don't do your job, then this is not going to work? Or how do you go about handling it?
Sometimes those things you speak about are not so little, those niggly things.
Yeah.
And if left unattended, they just get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
But Les Fong and I were open very quickly from the start. We shared a lot of our personal lives.
Yeah.
And so that mutual respect, me understanding, I went to his home there in Western Township in Johannesburg, but Western Township. It was like a tin shack and a community, municipal houses mixed together. It was a poor suburb that time. I don't know now. Westbury came later and was trying to be slightly middle class. But Les Fong lived in there with his Chinese father and his Xhosa mother, and they were struggling. So we were able to bond quickly.
Yeah.
There was no pretenses.
And you've obviously worked together on projects after that as well. And I mean, Isidingo.
My bro, let me tell you about Isidingo.
Yeah.
So when I was called in and we can talk about those processes, when we were creating the characters and they got this Bra Georgie.
Yeah.
I reckon, and someone said, no, he needs a sidekick. I said, I'm telling you all now, this sidekick is Leslie Fong.
Okay.
Call him up, get him for audition. It was my job. I auditioned every single actor when I was at Isidingo for the original cast of Isidingo. I even came to Cape Town, Durban.
Wasn't it Karen Meiring? Or that was also...
No, Karen Meiring is somebody else. She was involved with CakeNet up until very long. This one is Karen...
And was it Karen that also used to cast for Isidingo?
Yes. Anyway.
But I suppose probably after you.
No, after me, because she came as an actress.
Yes.
And she was on there. That. She got a Dutch surname. And I've forgotten.
Van Jaarsveld,
No.
Okay,
it doesn't matter. You can check, we're getting grey, bruh. So I auditioned him and they loved Les Fong. And so he came in as Georgie's sidekick. And he brought that lekker... Braino Sass, Nah, bra Georgie, asisuni man. He brought a nice energy like that. So let's just talk about Isidingo and never mind the other plays along the way. History. Everyone knows Isidingo.
Yeah.
So I'd made a little children's program, 15-minute episodes. I made 26 by myself. I wrote them, presented them with the kids around me and a little fire. It was called Tales from the Fireside. Yeah. And somebody saw, hey, this fella has graduated from theatre to television as a presenter. I mean, as a director, writer, producer.
Okay.
I was a presenter, excuse me, little brain fart there.
Okay.
I was a presenter on CCV. Join our world on CCV.
I cannot say that I've
Don't
seen
worry,
that.
But after your 50th birthday, it'll come back to you.
I had that on Mother's Day, by the way.
So it's cool. So somebody said to me, I saw your work. Can you come join the team? We'd love to have you. This person was a man called Gray Hofmeyer.
Yes,
and
okay.
he had produced The Villagers. Now, I know you're not going to remember The Villagers.
The Villagers.
Yeah, no, I know you're not going to remember.
No.
If you had your 50th birthday on Mother's Day, No. Villages is long before your time.
Okay.
But he produced it and wrote it. And the SABC said to him, well, meneer, you know, you worked in the BBC. He was a floor manager at the BBC, this Egelhof man. So you obviously understand English drama, make us something. So that's how he got commissioned to make The Villages. It was the first English weekly drama on television.
Okay.
And when the new South Africa came along, those who remembered said, hey, why don't we bring The Villages into the new South Africa?
Okay.
1994. And he said, cool. They asked him, he said, cool, I'll do it. This is a big contract, bruh. We're talking about double-figure millions here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, per annum. Double-figure millions.
Okay.
So he called me, he said, I checked your children's program and all. Come on board. So we're 4 of us, sometimes 5. But we sat down and from a blank page we made Isidingo. Went down in the mines, 3 kilometers underground to get that feel. Went into the hostels, spoke to the oaks, got the feeling, and started writing and creating. And that's where I got my first shot at directing. And I loved it.
Yeah.
And I think the actors loved me because I came from an actor background.
Yes. You understand.
And and I could vocalize in their vocabulary what I was trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And they clicked quickly. You know what? The great Marius Weyers. I was shaking in my boots on the day he came to record.
Okay.
There was a character called Sherelle. I don't know if you remember Sherelle.
Yes. Oh, no. That was the one character that we used to love to hate.
So this was a father played by Marius Weyers.
Yeah.
And my bro, I don't know what the writers thought.
Sherelle and Barker were the two that you used to love to hate. Yeah.
No, but before Barker, there was a other bro played by Wilson Dunster. He was the mine manager. I'm talking about before Barker times. Yeah. So the writers created, Sherelle's father used to sell her off as a teenage prostitute in Margate. And now she wants a resolution.
Okay.
So she calls him back into his life and the writers gave him 2 pages of dialogue. If you're doing it as a monologue, if you're doing it as dialogue, it can take a minute. But as a monologue, it can take 2 minutes for a page. So ostensibly, Marius had a 4-minute monologue that I had to direct him through. And this was the great Marius Weyers.
Yeah.
We all looked up to him. And he just handed me his support. He handed me his honesty. He gave me on a plate.
Yeah.
And I took it and I ran with it. I said to him, Marius, I'm going to cover you with this camera over here in case you need to stop. But I want to cover the main thing in one shot. I want to start the camera here and slowly track it across the studio for that movement. I want to see into your soul. He nailed it one take.
Wow.
I cried.
Wow.
But I knew that I've arrived as a director.
Yes.
And the industry...
You were both on the same page, basically. So obviously that's why that could happen.
And this hero of mine had given me all his humility and his support and his generosity to give me a leg up as a director. And it worked. And I got nominated 2 years in a row as a director for Isidingo. Not a lot of people know this.
Yeah. Was that... Okay. I know you were nominated for Best Director in 1999.
That's the right years.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you, man, Isidingo is actually one of my favorite... was it the soap?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, well,
but it wasn't really
series.
a soap.
Here's what we did. We took the soap concept and the drama concept and we melded them together. What's the English word? Amalgamated them together and came up with a concept, daily drama.
Daily drama,
not
yes.
daily soap.
It's so weird because myself and him was talking about Isidingo a couple of weeks ago, actually.
Yes.
And we spoke about this because there's one actor. What is this guy's name? Yeah, here's his name. Just check it on the screen. What is his name? This guy?
Oh, that's one. Oh, the character's name was Parsons.
Yeah,
Parsons.
Parsons.
So he was explaining why it was so impactful, because something grabbed me, and I don't know what actually grabbed me, because when I told people, no, you check soapies, what
I can tell you.
But he said it was like the actors was all from a
theatrical background.
And you know what grabbed me? Every day it was the news of the day that was on the soapy. It was brilliant, man.
I hear your 2 points. I think the real answer is deeper than this. Because drama acting, good acting, you'll find it anywhere. But if it's a bad script and it's a bad production, if the production values don't match the actor's going to get bored.
Yeah.
And he's going to come go,
Yeah.
give me my check. Give me my check.
Yeah, just doing my lines.
Yes.
That's it. Just doing my dialogue and that's it.
The real credit for this must go to the people who created it, the head writers.
Yes. And I do give big respect there.
Because what they did, I don't know if they knew it at the time. What they did, for the first time in South African television, they got rid of the notion that people live in South Africa in separate silos. Like Afrikaans drama.
Yeah.
Jy sien net Afrikaans acteurs op die skerm. And so forth. Black African drama. Let me just call it quickly, apartheid silos.
Yeah.
Apartheid cultural silos, where people subscribe to the idea that we exist in isolation of each other.
Yeah.
Isidingo broke that rule.
Yes.
Isidingo said, you do not exist in isolation to each other. You are symbiotic. You coexist.
Yeah.
The fact that those miners are going down there and cucking off down in those mines is directly related to the wealth you and your family enjoy.
Yeah.
Because your father is buying you cars, he's getting paid from the gold price in South Africa. We are not isolated, my man. We are all connected. And another deeper one, just as me on the side, we are all connected by our DNA. By our DNA, because there weren't a lot of people in the beginning. Now there's a lot. We intermarried. Dark people became white. White people became dark and black. People are just too scared to deal with this. The man was nearly assassinated, the Stellenbosch academic, when he was told, or when he released a book saying 90% of Afrikaners are colored people.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, that's behind us.
Yeah.
So back to Isidingo's victory. Yeah. They had a good DNA and they brought the whole country together. That's why you felt, that's why you felt a part of it, because you saw yourself there. Maar die praat Oslo, hy praat mos my taal. What about this other one, Terrence? What's Terrence's surname?
Terrence Bridget.
Hey, Tara, I came to audition him. Another story for another time.
So why was it taken off? He has a theory why it was taken off. What is your theory?
Why it was taken off?
Yeah.
I think the viewer got tired.
No, but the characters were also real.
Let me say something quickly.
The guy next door.
Why do I think it was taken? This is just speculation. Have you ever heard that the more decisions you make, the lower the quality of decision? So you have a
I hear you.
Yeah, you have a high quality on few decisions, and then the more decisions you make, quantity is your quality.
Yeah.
I think not only the viewer but also the production fell into this trap.
Yeah.
And we all started taking it for granted, and you could feel it.
Yeah. Okay.
And so somebody said. And also you must remember, management changes in these broadcast corporations. No. We've done with that. That's I want to see something new now.
Yeah.
And out came Mubango. And. So there's always a shifting dynamic. We'll never know what caused it to go out, but it's a combination of all these things.
It makes sense. His one was a bit sinister. He says that the powers that be saw that the writers was too close for comfort, and reality and fiction was blurring, and so they said, let me rather get rid of this soapy because it gets too uncomfortable.
I don't want to contradict him. He's right, except it's not as deep as one would like to think it is as an analysis.
Okay.
Because what they were doing was exposing the fact that we all lived in one silo. So this probably made silos uncomfortable, and those decision makers were from those silos. But let's deal with the daily thing. You said not the daily was so. Excuse me. It was
current. It was on top of things.
We used to have what we used to call a.
But that's when you get called in basically just
scene.
to do the.
We used to have a live scene.
Yeah.
So the script would be written, and you'd leave a gap, say 3 minutes. In the script.
I do know about that.
And then when we check something's happening. On the day, my bro, the episode's edited. We'd send a camera, shoot there.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Bring the footage back, edit it into its slot, and broadcast it that night.
I know that Seven Delan used to do the same, but so that all basically came from you guys.
No, it came from Igoli.
From Igoli.
You have to give them credit.
No, but Igoli was really good as well.
It was okay for a long time.
Yeah.
But like all of the products, they become worn out.
Yeah.
And the society changes, the dynamic of the society changes, and you got to, me, I'm waiting for my turn, bro. I got hot stuff waiting to become episodes, hot stuff, but it's, how do you say in Afrikaans? Say, take vooruit. It's ahead of its time.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
also like about it is the fact that, you know, when a soapy starts, say Dallas, you see they're already rich. With that family, you could see they were coming up.
That's
they were coming up, and it coincided with the new-ish South Africa. It was a bit oldish when that came out. It was about 10 years in, but you could feel you could there was a history, there was gravitas to it because the characters grew with you because you saw them coming up. That was for me. Till today is one of the most brilliant soapies, if you want to.
100% correct,
Brilliant,
my brother.
brilliant.
Awesome.
Yeah, 100% correct. And characters got promotions. I don't know if you remember Zeb Matabani. He played
Zeb?
Parsons' father.
Zeb, there's here.
There you go. He just passed away recently, this place.
Oh, okay, man.
Yeah, he got promotions. You know, he wasn't just like, hey, he got promoted. Now he was a mine supervisor type boss guy doing solutions. And so what those writers did, and all kudos to them, they allowed the characters to evolve.
Yeah, that was kind of awesome to see as well, because you taken on the journey with those characters. Now, you have played a lot of different characters, and obviously you embody, there's always a little bit of Kurt that I'm bringing into each and every character. I'm not going to ask you which is your favorite characters, but you won Best Supporting Actor in 2018. For which character was that, though? And which?
This was a movie by Maynard Kruk.
Okay, yes.
A great talent which we've lost to England for all the reasons we've been discussing so far. The movie was called The Last Victims.
Okay.
And it had been overwritten. It was a thick script, and it had a time travel back and forth. Not time travel, flashback.
Flashbacks, okay, yeah.
And so that was a bit confusing for the audience. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about...
actually, I heard about that. Just myself and a couple of friends we spoke about this, but okay.
So I was out of the country. I'd taken a job overseas. And the Neisner Festival, I think it was its inaugural film festival of Neisner. Maybe they had too few entries into the festival.
Look at you being Mr. Humble.
That fella. Give it to him for Best Supporting Actor. I was like, oh, is that what I was?
You don't take compliments well, do you?
I didn't. Highlight and vase, you know what I mean?
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, they thought I was a supporting actor. All right, I thought I was a lead actor. I'll eat the humble pie. I'll eat the humble pie and I'll take it. But I couldn't attend the ceremony because I was out of the country.
Okay.
But that one award for my acting stands loud and proud there by the posy. Listen to me talking like a Durbanite.
Yes, man, you.
No, I've been 40 years out of Durban, my bro.
So that you copy.
So my real, rural something. The rural something. So the real, for me, the first awards, just to finish up Isidingo, I got nominated 2 years in a row. These were the nominees. The group of actors for Isidingo, the group of directors for Isidingo, the group of directors for Generations, and Kurt Egelhof for Isidingo. Those were the 3 nominees. What does that mean in maths? 2 out of 1 was me. What does that mean? I'm the guy.
Yes.
The next year...
Those are great odds, eh?
Wait, of course, one would think. The next year, same 3 nominees.
Yeah.
The directors for Isidingo, the directors for Generations, and Kurt Egelhof for Isidingo.
Okay.
Both years, my bro, they gave it to the groups.
Yo.
So hey, there's something at play here that I cannot deny.
Yes.
That I cannot deny.
Yeah.
I have to accept that these silos are functioning in the dark.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get bothered by it.
Good.
Nee, my bro. It made me strong. It made me strong, my bro. It gave me a sense of, you can do nothing to me unless I allow it. Anything you try against me, it will only happen the way you want it if I allow it. So when I left Johannesburg to come to Cape Town to make Backstage, which is a whole other story, we got cut and paste because we made such a success of Isidingo. Mfundi Vundla, who owned Generations, cut and paste the team. That's how I came to
Why do I always feel that Backstage was before Isidingo?
Because you're getting old, my brother.
Because I actually auditioned for Backstage and I got the role, but I had to leave for Spain. And then I couldn't, because I was already signed for the Spanish vibe.
Tune the Blani there to check the dates. You'll see. Isidingo, 2009.
Yeah.
I mean 1999.
I wanted to say now because...
No, I just slipped. You started when? 1999. Thereabout.
Because I was just checking, because I auditioned and I was still young in the industry
Backstage,
at that time.
2001. Oh, 2000.
Okay, could be, yeah.
They started...
Get ease, obviously.
Yeah, I had worked long in Isidingo before I got sent to Cape Town to make Backstage.
Okay.
And that's how I came to live here. And I mean, all these big stars like now, Clint Brunk and Joshua Cooper, they were all coming out for the first time, guy.
Yeah, with Backstage. I remember
they were coming out for the first time, and I felt like a bit of an old man. Even
a couple of generations people as well that I've seen there, and even Seven Lines people all also come from there.
After a while, it all got mushy, eh?
And it's the same actors that you're seeing this all the time.
This is a problem.
It irks me.
The pool is dry. The pool has run dry. Even though there's new talent coming in, producers are not giving the new talent the opportunity to carry the heavy weight.
Yeah. I mean, yes, you said oysters and stuff like that. They kind of doing it right now, yeah?
Yeah, again, I wanna say Backstage, if that was a soapie, that was also my favorite, because that one was, I think that one was close to the New South Africa. Then, it
was made in the New South Africa. When the New South Africa was like, okay.
Fresh.
Yeah, Isidingo, we were still trying.
And so I remember that time. It was the time of Kwaito. We were still in the honeymoon phase of the New South Africa. Everything was fresh, and then this soapie came out in the afternoons, right? The weekday afternoons.
Cape Town story.
Well, it was based in Cape Town. The school was in Cape Town.
Yes.
But let's just give kudos to the writers before we go too far. In the case of Backstage, the head writer and her team, I think more the team than her, had their finger on the popular culture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The young, quite
let's just call it YFM.
Hip-hop as well.
YFM and the Y generation. And so I had to mind my P's and Q's, because I'm going like, hey, the content is more important than anything else about the production. We must protect this content and uplift it.
Yeah.
So that was also a great experience for me, because that was no more me directing Backstage, that was me producing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I had a phone and a monitor, and I'd go like, hello, whoever the director was. Don't you want to just try that shot on camera 3 rather? I see you struggling with camera 1. Just put on camera 3, tighten the shot, and I'd give him all the stuff I learned as a director.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, 1, 2, 3 problems. So
I was gonna ask Nasa, how come you didn't step into the director role then?
No, you got to give a bird its wings, my bro.
Okay, that's just true.
I only stepped in there when somebody couldn't come to work.
Okay.
And the whole crew was ready to go, and I was like, just give me a second, let me read their camera script. This is what they're planning to do. Okay, all right, let's go. And then, direct from the box onto the floor, from the box onto the floor.
I mean, you've done more than 250 episodes with Isidingo, with Backstage, and what is the other one, with Scandal as well, yeah.
Scandal. I also got roped in as I always call it the assassin, the hitman. We're about to change producers from X to Y. Yeah. We need somebody who's unbiased, who's going to make the bridge as this contract changes. I think you need Kurt Egelhof, said somebody. And boom, Scandal and Backstage fell into my lap.
Yeah.
Even though Backstage had gone back to Josie, and I'd stayed because I checked my lights. He's enjoying Cape Town.
Yeah.
Ocean, mountain,
yeah.
parks,
yeah.
liquor,
food,
liquor. I said, my children deserve this life.
Yeah.
So I resigned. Good. What you gonna do? Okay, no, it wasn't the accent. It was more like, so tell me, old boy, what you going to do in Cape Town? I mean, what work you gonna do? I said, wrong question. You need to ask me, who am I going to be? Because working here for you people, you're trying to change me into something else.
Okay.
I don't care if I have to wash windscreens, but I'm going to support my children for a new life and a new opportunity in a city that seems to be working better than any other.
And you'd think it's Joburg, but so this brought you to that quote that you actually live by.
Tell me.
And I actually checked it. As long as you keep chasing money, you will always be a follower of someone else's dream. Let your heart lead your life and money will follow you. Is that what brought you to that?
Inshallah. That's what brought me to that. The realization that I've been chasing money and following someone else's dream. Isidingo wasn't my dream. It was someone else's dream. Backstage wasn't my dream. Scandal wasn't my dream. But I said, okay, I got to clear the decks of all that and give my dream a chance to emerge. And Cape Town was kind to me like that without giving me any work.
Okay.
I got no work from Cape Town like that. I mean, how many times I offered myself to all these soapies that were popping up all over the show. Arends Vlei, said, blah, blah, blah. Nee, dankie meneer, jy praat hierdie taal, bly jy weg van die hele story. Okay, no problem.
Nog altyd hy
Nog
saakie.
altyd my broer. Anyway, doesn't matter because it only has meaning if you give it meaning.
Okay.
Weg met hy. I sat down, started writing my stuff. Out of that came a play called Generations.
Oh.
The biggest thing I've ever done in my life was to create this play for me. I performed it for 15 years around the world, my bro.
Getting emotional about it.
Yes, because it was a powerful moment in my life.
Ah, that's awesome.
And I'm grateful for it. I sat down and I wrote my grandfather's story, my father's story, my story, and my son's story, and I made it into a one-man play.
Wow.
And I rocked.
For 15 years.
15 years. I went to Zimbabwe, I went to Germany, I went to England, I went to Australia. I toured the yellow South Africa.
Would you bring it back again?
My body won't allow me because that was really physical work.
Okay.
I'll do it because the script is still good, but I'll have to change the physicality. And when you change the physicality, you must also, the whole DNA is going to shift of the piece. So I need to change the vocals. So I wrote 10 songs.
Okay.
And I reckon maybe that's the new play. Maybe that's the new one-man drama where the character can sing.
Okay.
Is a singer. Of course, we can go with the backtracks. But I will bring that four generations play of mine, because this thing was going on for generations. My grandfather suffered this, my father suffered this, I'm suffering this, my son's suffering this. This monster has been jumping from generation to generation.
Okay.
And inshallah, there's a message for generations to come, for future generations, specifically men who are dealing with all sorts of heavy burdens.
Okay.
One of which is being called a toxic male before you've even opened your mouth.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I'm hoping that this gift of mine will do that for generations. So I did the play for 15 years, and it created all sorts of other things. Out of that one little script of 1 hour came 8 45-minute scripts of a television series called For Generations, where I go back and forth in time. 4 characters, the grandfather, the father, the son, and the grandson. Well, the grandson and the great-grandson.
Great-grandson, okay.
And we cut back and forth. I don't think the world is ready for that yet.
I think the world is ready for what you've got to offer.
What I've got to offer, but this level of declaring a man's voice in a world where masculinity is such a curse.
Yeah.
I don't think the world is ready for that. I think the world wants to hear what bad men are.
Yeah.
They want to hear what bad, toxic people men are. And that was never me, my bro.
No, but I mean, I also hate being told that, men are no good, no good. But then I like what I saw someone said the other day. You always say, when these women say that men are no good. And this guy actually said, not all men are no good. The men you meet, the men that you associate yourself with are no good. That's not all men.
Come and give you a reference to 10 minutes ago. Remember we spoke about silos?
Yes.
This is an Afrikaans silo, Zulu silo, Xhosa silo, Tswana silo, English silo, Indian silo, and everyone else is wrong. This is exactly the same formula when you bring it to this gender issue.
Yeah.
People are in gender-based silos. So when I did this work, I was hoping that we can address some of that and bring some explanation as to why men break. Because we all break. All human beings break.
Yeah.
I needed to explore, why do men break? So that thing shot out all these little things, and it changed my life. And I write what I write because I had that moment.
Yeah.
It was hugely emotional for me. I spent 4 months in my garage locked. I sold my Barracuda. You know what a Barracuda is, guy? You know
which better could
Valiant,
okay, the Valiant. Okay, now I was going to say
Kodak,
that's with the beauty.
1970s, early 70s, like 74 or something.
Yeah.
I sold it to pay the bills while I wasn't working up there where I was living in Boys Drive. I sold the Barracuda so I could pay the bills while I was creating this play for me.
Sure.
And I'm living in the returns of my effort.
Lovely.
Yes, sir.
It's always good to hear that.
Yes,
it's always
sir.
good to hear that. So now that we've kind of found it and we've learned a little bit about Kurt Egelhof and how he started and how he's come to where he is right now.
Yeah.
You have just gone on. I've tried to find the right word for what you've got right now. It's 4 books. So I know a trilogy is 3.
Yeah. Quartet, man.
Quartet,
Quartet.
yes, a quartet. But I say quartet is done 4 musos. 4 musicians. That's a quartet.
Well, it's been used for musicians, but the root of the Latin word is 4.
Yes.
Quattro.
Yes.
So if it's 4 Audis, Audi Quattro.
Yeah.
No, so yes, it's commonly used for musicians, but we shouldn't hand it over. The books can also be described as a quartet.
Yes, I know that. And then there's also the word that I found that, okay, this is my new word from now on. It's actually the tetralogy.
The what?
Tetralogy.
Wow. Sinjay, the people are going to isolate you for coming with high English, my bro.
You just put legit to it. No, tetralogy, they said that's the correct word, but quartet is preferred. So your quartet that you've got the books that I'm going to mention right now.
Go.
And let's go from the first one. Your first one that you wrote is The Adventure Boys.
Yeah.
Right? And then you wrote The Palace of Broken Dreams.
Yeah.
Then Man Overboard.
Yeah.
And then The Accidental Death of a Good Colored Man.
Yeah.
Fill us in on what is happening there.
Why is there 4 books?
Synopsis,
well, it could have been 1 book, but I don't think I got the J.R. Tolkien vibes to make a thick book. Like, I don't know if you've seen the original Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Takes a year to read.
Yeah.
And then they sold it in separate things, 3 books. So I took that as a marker, say, don't write a fat thing. Give people a chance to come up for air. So, Adventure Boys. All my work is fictional autobiography.
Yeah, fictional autobiography.
Autobiographical fiction.
Yeah.
What it means is the point of departure is I'm starting from what I know. My point of departure is what I know from my own life experience.
Yeah.
And the fiction is going to be a creative tool, what they call poetic license, to make this autobiographical thing accessible so that people can identify, hey, you're talking about me. Yeah. So when I was 17, I experienced 3 weeks in Rabo. Veld en Vlei it was called. Veld en Vlei. I don't know if it still exists, and the generation who's aware of it are in their like 65 plus. And it was a very meaningful experience for me because it was the first time I saw somebody die. The person died in my arms. I was 16 or 17. And it told me, hey, there isn't just life, my bro. Death and life walk together hand in hand all the time. So this was a big emotional awakening for me and my vulnerability and my mortality. And so I wrote about vulnerability and mortality canvassed against a backdrop of the Hottentots Holland.
Okay.
Those, and even I think as far as Franschhoek, we walked through those mountains at 16, 17. So I took all that autobiography and made it into a lovely fiction. That's called The Adventure Boys.
Yeah.
When I first wrote it, I was so impressed by Al Jarreau's till I can reach out my hand and like every man touch the face of God. Remember that song?
Touch the face of God. Yes, I know that.
So I stole this impetus from it and wrote the book and wrote a script and called it A Mountain High Enough. And in my mind, to touch the face of God. Because there ain't no mountain high. No. There is a mountain high enough, Miss Ross. And I'm going to show you how. So I wrote this thing, A Mountain High Enough. Sat with that for a long time and then I decided, hey, make it a book because it's say take for it. Give people a chance to read it as a book, not as a movie script, because you don't go to a shop and buy a movie script and read and go, I think I'll make this movie. So Then the second book, Palace of Broken Dreams. This is related to the 80s, apartheid, Joburg, Hillbrow. Now the 80s was the hottest decade in all our history. We just didn't know it. We know what happened in the 70s, stone throwing, Soweto, blah, blah. We know what happened in the 90s, make your cross election. What happened in the 80s?
No, but the 80s were just so gevaarlijk, eh?
Gevaarlijk and full of energy. But the people who were anti-apartheid were coming together already.
Yeah.
They had preempted 1994. And I lived in that universe in Joburg in that time. That's how I forged my career for a start. When I was surrounded by peers where language and skin and gender didn't matter. We were just hot for creating anti-apartheid theater.
Yeah.
That was the 80s. So in that time, when I was so submersed in it, you don't check out. It was only much later in life when I was able to look back and analyze and go, hey, all the people that I met, our dreams have been broken. So the Palace of Broken Dreams was born, named after a very popular club in Hillbrow in the 80s, where people all launched their Joburg careers. Jennifer Ferguson, Solly Verlander, they came out crawling out the woodwork from across the country to just get up on that stage and sing.
Okay.
And it lasted for long. And at the time I thought, this is never going to end. But when it ended and I was able to do some retrospection, we lost a lot of our dreams in the 80s. And I've been proved true because we're 30 years into the new South Africa and we still haven't achieved our dreams.
I was going to ask you about the evolution of theatre and whatever.
We still haven't achieved our dreams, brother. Maybe we were dreaming on false dreams like freedom. But the poverty datum line, it's gone. I don't know if you say higher or lower. It's gone lower. People are earning less. They're suffering more. Inflation is killing the people.
Yeah.
There's joblessness. It's all of these things going on. And the rich are getting richer. The middle class is evaporating. And the working class is expanding so low down this pyramid that we've got unemployed working class who we call the poorest of the poor.
Yeah.
But those people are real human beings with real dreams.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd take this philosophy and put it into an artist paradigm. So that's what the Palace of Broken Dreams is about.
Oh, wow.
It's about how you never got the gigs.
Yeah.
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 And then there was a Man Overboard.
Man Overboard, okay.
So it's not much of a secret, but it's a little secret. I spent a year working on a ship as a TV director.
Okay.
I thought I'm going to be making amazing shows. Yes, I did make amazing shows, but they were always the same shows. And I was recording them mostly for insurance purposes, in case somebody broke their leg.
Okay.
Oh, see, they in shot number 22. That's
Okay.
where it went wrong. I was like, okay, I'll take it. My real job was to get free signals from satellites around the world, a technical job that I've never done in my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you start looking for coordinates, you program this antenna on top of the ship to follow the signal, and suddenly all your Russian passengers can watch their favorite Russian TV.
Oh.
And in the TV. That was what they wanted. I was like, okay, I signed up for a year, but that's it. When this is over, I'm not. But I got to see.
Sounds like a bit of a dangerous job if you think about it. At
Any
the end of the
job
day.
is a dangerous job, my brother. Any job is a dangerous job. You see those oaks sitting on the back of the bucket going to work like as if they're cattle or something.
Yeah,
That's dangerous. But you know what? Nobody cares. Not even the motorists driving past. In another universe, we'd pull that oak over and say, you can't do this to people. Yeah, call the police. Yeah. No, we just look the other way. So, yes, it was dangerous, but every job is dangerous.
Yeah, okay.
My nickname is Kurt the Brave. One day you'll find out.
Okay.
Friends used to call me that. So, I spent this year watching other crew, Filipinos, Indians, Asians, all below the let's call it the passenger line. They lived under, these were the people who waited tables, who cleaned your linen, and these became my brasa. I used to get special invitations whenever the curry was available, because the security on the ship was Indian guys, and they would just go da 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 da, and the curry would just materialize. And then they go, hey, TV director, come over.
Yeah.
And I'd sit with the security oaks and we'd eat the best Indian curry. So Man Overboard is the story of a musician, singer, who reinvents himself and goes there, changes his name, and loses his mind for the sex and the drugs and the rock and roll lifestyle that comes with pleasure. But he goes overboard. I beg your pardon. I'll do that again. He goes overboard in his own mind about this newfound freedom, where there's no heel brow, where there's no Felton flay. And on a ship, there's, never mind a flag flying, there's no country. When people sailing on that ship, they forget that the earth exists, that land exists. This is this little tin can universe. And they're on there for months at a time. When you come in a port, everyone who can rushes off to go and buy KFC, where they what to go and enjoy. But once they're back in that little tin can, the dark clouds. So he goes overboard. And then, in my experience, I heard of a ship where somebody actually jumped. I thought, that's a good one to remember. I heard of a ship where somebody actually took drugs, not somebody, 23 people, took drugs from Brazil into Mediterranean, and they got bust. Guess what? I got the same ship.
Oh!
when I was placed, I got, because it was all one ship. The South African dancer jumped.
You didn't even ask for a drum roll there before you actually dropped it.
No, bro, I got the drum roll. Go, don't worry. So this had a big impact on me, and I wrote this thing about man overboard. Then this takes us to the accidental death of a good colored man.
Oh, just that title alone is like, okay, right, let's hear this.
So, for the record, technically, that was the first book I wrote.
I was going to say, because you said, that's the first one you wrote, but that ended up being the last.
It ended up the last one in the series.
Okay.
But it was the first book I wrote, and it was me breaking the ice of moving from an actor to a writer of prose. And it was a hard experience because I'm Kurt the Brave, I chose a high degree of difficulty. Yeah. I wrote the whole thing in the first person. This means if I'm looking at your statue here, I think the thoughts and I tell my reader what I'm thinking.
Okay.
And then I say to the statue, no man, E.T., man, you must go get yourself ironed out, my guy. You're looking terrible. So you say that to the statue of E.T.
Yeah.
And you think, if I ever get a girlfriend like that, I'm going to kill myself. I wrote the whole book like this.
Okay. In first person.
In first person. Which is, it was too difficult for me. When I was finished and I read this, I'm not getting this.
Okay.
I got to do this all over again. So that took me 8 years.
Wow.
Once I cracked my formula, these other 3 books that we spoke of first,
they just all fell into place, basically.
my brother, like an avalanche.
Yeah.
I couldn't leave the computer. It just kept coming. So that is the accidental death of a good colored man. But let me tell you about it. There's a colored hero in our folklore, a man called Robbie. What's Robbie's surname? McBride, sorry.
Okay.
Robbie McBride. Some people hate him, some people love him, but Robbie McBride was a true freedom fighter.
Oh, not the Robert McBride that we know.
It's the Robert McBride that we know.
The one that was the police commissioner at some stage?
That one.
Oh, okay.
He was a guerrilla fighter in his time, bruh.
Okay.
That oak was deep undercover during the struggle. We can take nothing away from that, bruh.
Okay.
You go, I put a bomb. Hey, everybody's putting bombs in the world for their freedom. Why must Robbie be different? Anyhow. So they had a mission and they didn't succeed. And so the main character in the accidental death of a good colored man decides he's going to avenge Robbie. He's going to finish the job that Robbie McBride couldn't do.
Yeah.
It should have done. So he makes this his life ambition. But guess what now? It's the same character from the first book. It's just growing up and changing. So we see the evolution of a character. We see the change like we saw in Isidingo.
Yes.
We see it. So now if you read all 4 books, you go, I get it, what this Pali was trying to do.
Okay.
And boom, that's when the lights go on, a big time switch on. So this character has lost his mind on the ships. The ship keeled over. I don't know if you remember, a ship fell over in Mediterranean.
Yes.
So I brought that fact in as well, and I put him on that ship as a victim. He ended up in Morocco because he had a brown skin.
Isn't this the ship that Alvin Collison was on?
No, that was 20 years earlier. That was off
Okay.
off the East Coast, yeah, outside the Transkei.
Okay. So, sorry, Alvin. Sorry.
I'll give you the name. It was something like Achille Laura or something. There was 2 times that happened, and Alvin was on one. Anyhow, the other comedian was, Goeiemorgen Suid-Afrika, ons is in die kak. Live from the sinking ship outside the Transkei. So anyway, so the ship goes over and he ends up in a hospital in Morocco. And because he's got a dark skin, they think he's a Moroccan or he's an Arab.
Oh, like they thought I was, yeah. Okay.
You know the story.
Yeah,
Because we
yeah.
got all of those gene pools as people of mixed descent. And that's our forte, our power. This is the thing we must embrace. Because everywhere in nature, when the things hybridize, the outcome is better.
Yeah.
It's better. Anyhow, back to accidental death.
Yeah.
So he loses his mind and they eventually find his identity and they send him back to South Africa and he doesn't know nothing. So the 4th book starts with him waking up and going, oh, hey, I know what I got to do. I got to avenge Robbie McBride. See the delusion.
Yeah.
And he goes through this entire journey back to where he comes from and he tries to go and blow up the Durban refinery and he doesn't succeed. But in the course of the book, someone else does it for him. The very security branch policeman who was hunting him down.
Oh.
Accidentally blows up the whole Durban oil refinery. Fiction, my bro, never happened.
Okay.
But
okay.
autobiographical in the foundation.
Yeah.
The oil refinery is still there and it's functioning fine. Thank you. Just poisoning all the people's lungs there who live in Wentworth and giving the children unborn, giving them diseases.
Oh, damn.
That's the truth of capitalism and oil production. Anyway, moving right along.
So where does the tragicomedy come in?
Well, the tragedy I'm about to tell you, because the way I write it, it's funny. I still kept his thoughts. And you go like, this Oka's way off the mark thinking that. So that's where the comedy is. How wrong can a person be? And sometimes how right can a person be? Oh yeah, but it's 18 plus. Let's just remember this. So the oil refinery goes boof. He got his old high school love. They get together. They go into, guess where 90%, well, no, 50% of our culture has gone to? Australia. They're immigrating to Australia. And while they're in the plane, holding hands, kissing and wishing lovey-dovey for the future, the plane explodes in the air.
Oh, wow.
Now I've given away the whole plot. And so it's an accidental death of a man who was trying to kill himself in the explosion.
Okay.
In the oil refinery. And he got redeemed by love, this high school girlfriend.
Yeah.
And so he's on this new part. Boom. So the message is, if I've given it away, I might as well give it away. Don't take for granted what's going on. Do the things. Because when you least expect it, death will knock on your door and you cannot say no.
It's like Alanis Morissette says in the song, isn't it ironic? Don't you think? A young man and he wants to win the lottery. Old man plays the lottery all the time, and then when he wins the lottery, he dies. So isn't it ironic? So,
a lot of songs like that about juxtaposing your future against your past, and so that's all my 4 books. They're not hard. Wait. Let me put this properly differently. I can't see a book here. This is thicker than one of them by maybe 10 pages, but they're this size.
Okay.
4 of them.
And where can we get them, though?
Okay, you already moved into the sales conversation.
No. I mean, let's go there.
For sure.
I mean,
so I'm going on this book launch now.
Yeah.
I'm going to Durban. I'm going to Johannesburg, Durban, and Cape Town, and I'm going to launch the books physically. So you and everyone who's hearing this can come to the launch in Cape Town and buy the hard copy that comes with
your signature. Yeah. Baie belangrik.
It comes with the signature, my bro, and a little message of like, don't give up hope.
Yeah.
And then after that, they will be available on Amazon for South Africa only.
Okay.
So that people who didn't get to attend any of the launches and who are listening to this broadcast, they can go and look on my Facebook page, look on the socials, because I'm going to plug it hard, of how to buy it online. That's all busy being set up, nearly finished now. But if you want it like now, before this thing is over, go on to lulu.com.
Lulu.com,
yeah. And type in either The Adventure Boys or Palace of Broken Dreams or Man Overboard or Accidental Death of a Good Colored Man. For 3 of them, you're going to have to put in your birth date because no one under 18 should be reading what's between those pages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I made it a little bit steamy when I wanted to.
No, obviously. No, bring on the read.
Some adult stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you go on there, it'll ask you your birth date. You can just bluff them you were born in 1959 like me. And there you can buy the books if you can't wait. But, whatever's your choice, I'm not going to try and prescribe.
Yeah.
So there's hard copy available. There's digital international for the Americans and whatever, British, through Lulu. And then for South Africans, Amazon.com, because Amazon in South Africa is only selling to South Africa at the moment.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. Yo, I'm just thinking I so want those 4 books because I definitely, like I say, I've been following you for so long and I've been in awe of you for so long. So I want to read those books and I'm an avid reader. I love my books, obviously.
Fantastic.
And then I also wanted to know, Kurt, these are experiences that you wrote, your books is written.
Yeah.
So that's going to be your focus right now. Your focus is, the quartet that you are busy taking out there and taking around the country. But when are we going to see Kurt Egelhof on stage again? Or when are we going to see him on television again? Is that even there?
I got no list for it for the sake of it. If I feel like that at that time, I will go down that direction. But while I'm doing something that is quite consuming and I'm loving, I'm not going to give it up just because, I think I need to be seen on the screen or on stage. I'm finished with that.
Okay.
That was in the early 80s when we were trying to cup it flow with the career. Now I'm like, hey, this is my game, my pace. When people ask me, people who don't know me, what do you do for a living? My answer is, I can't say that answer here. It's a little bit too non-family.
Ik klim op 'n verhoog om myself te verlaag.
I've always done whatever I like.
Yeah.
And if I don't like it, I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
This is the new me after that 15-year experience. Well, that play for generations turned my head around with this. But where I am going with the quartet, inshallah, is television series.
I was going to ask, is any of this going to be written for stage at some point or television at some point?
It already is. I've already got the scripts waiting for somebody with the kroon to go, but this is lovely stuff, man. Can we make a wawa? When they call, I go, you can have the script tomorrow. I don't have to go into a 6-month development thing.
And clearly you've got an actor right here who is definitely going to be auditioning for that role.
Let me see now. Where can I stick you in? It's going to be the challenge. I'm going to have to cast these people at about 3 different ages in their lives.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have a teenager. I have to have a guy in his horny 30s.
Okay.
And I have to have a guy
in his... falls in mind.
You would probably qualify as the acceptant 50-year-old plus.
No, but once the years was not that different. But we're not speaking about me.
No, of course. No. We are, but we're not casting yet.
Okay. I just thought I'd throw it in there.
We're creating dreams.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing. There's another lesson I'd like everybody to learn is don't create expectation. Because once people are convinced that this expectation, is real, then they don't get it, then they turn against you.
Yeah.
So just go slowly with the thing. Anyway, that's my plan for these 4 books. That's what I'm going to do with them, bro.
Well, we wish you all the best, and I mean just the best and only the best with everything that's going to happen. And I mean, we're going to see you all around. And Kurt, once again, thank you for coming in. But
sure.
I'd like this to go on even more because we're having such a liquor time. We're having such a vibe. I don't know how you're feeling, but I'm feeling the buzz.
Wait, I got to get my own podcast studio going on. What kind with you?
You see, man, still many oogies.
No, if I told you how far down the road we are with those plans, it might be I'll be unloyal or disloyal to my partners.
Okay, so you're actually saying that you're gonna be inviting the 2 of us to actually come in for the podcast.
And we're going to ask you to sign up with our label so that you don't have to stand alone anymore.
Yes,
you can come into a community of like-minded broadcasters.
Yeah.
And open the doors for many people who haven't even yet been born. And for those who are struggling to make it in the industry, we, the 3 of us, and all of our future plans
Yeah, man.
And
Inshallah.
Inshallah, my bro.
You know,
we're going to open doors for people.
Let's do that. I'm so ready for that. I know we are ready for that. And then finally, I know that this is something that everybody, when they are interviewing someone as a thespian as you are, then they'd always say, have you got any messages out there for the youth, for our future actors, our future directors, our future... What can you tell them? Because you've seen everything.
You know what? If you tell the truth, then you get seen as like, hey, man, you're not encouraging the kids. Well, I want to tell the truth.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, hold on to your dream and this and this and this. Because the youth need reality anchors.
Yeah.
You know, the youth at risk, they're suffering, they're struggling. And so, this is a simple, just love yourself, man. Just love yourself. Find out how, if you don't know. And a lot of us don't know because we were told love is this, love is this, love is that. But when we tried to apply it, it fell flat on its face.
Yeah.
So stop, introspect, figure out who you are, and learn to love yourself. Here's my methodology. Get undressed naked, stand in front of a long mirror, and look into the eyes of what you see, and ask yourself, who is this?
Wow.
Who is this? From head to toe, stark naked. No pretenses. Because once you start pretending for people, clothing, fashion, you're getting wardrobe and layers. In the theater, we get taught first, before you find a wardrobe and layers, find a character.
Just take off all those layers.
Take off
Strip those layers.
And so I just took it physically. I just took it into the physical realm.
Yeah.
Young people, you know how we body shaming. You know how we racifying. You know how we talking about your hair and your false hair and you're not your hair and your chappies and your false tanner and your passing gaps. Put all of that one side. That's not you.
Yeah.
That's what the society is saying you should be. Stand naked in front of your mirror. I guarantee you won't last 5 minutes for the first one.
Yeah.
You won't last 5 minutes for the first one, but after you can stand for half an hour and maybe start to close your eyes and meditate, then you've seen your real self. Now you know who to fall in love with.
Yeah.
And the person you're going to fall in love with is a 5-year-old you, because that's where all the trauma started.
Yeah. You know, Kurt, you're saying that is so true, eh? And I mean, we as the people of South Africa, we as, especially, I'm going to say the colours that we are, okay, the Brainos, all of us, we have had to add so many layers because we needed to protect ourselves. So strip down those layers and then become the person that you are meant to be and the person that you see and the person you want to be.
That's right. Just to survive, we put on those layers. Some of us have even gone so far as putting the chappies to survive.
Yeah.
That I want this emblem to protect me. It can't. It's just a stain on your skin. What will protect you? What he is and what he is.
Yeah.
Your love for yourself will protect you.
Wow. That's very profound. Thank you so much, Kurt. You know what? We're going to leave the David Hasselhoff in the US. We've got our very own half right here, and that is Kurt Egelhof. Thank you so much for being here.
Lekker.
You know what? If you enjoyed this and you want to find out more, obviously, just subscribe and follow CCM, Cape Conscious Media, and you will see this whole podcast with Kurt Egelhof. You will see right there on YouTube. Check out Facebook. There will be reels out there on TikTok. You know where to find us. From myself and Nantel, our producer, and Kurt, we'd like to say, have a good one. See you soon. Ciao, ciao.